morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is Friday, December 13th, 2024. That is more than 4.5 years of Torah every single morning, finding each other, saying good morning to each other. So good to see you, Daphne. So nice to see you, first on my screen. Adele, Bensi, Susie, good to see you too. Peter sending love to Frankfurt. Penny, thanks for reminding us it is broadcast 1196. Debbie sending love to Colorado. Chana, good to see you. Deborah and Linda, Sharon, Boker Tov, Shabbat Shalom. Amy and Tara, good morning to you all. Jay Statler 5, I don't know what your first name is, but you're saying Shabbat Shalom from Missouri, and I'm saying Shabbat Shalom back. It's so good to see you. Linda and Jack, Barry and Fabrice sending love to Paris. Hope that you're well. Jennifer, thank you for telling me your name so I could say it nicely. Shabbat Shalom, Jennifer. Good to see you. Stan and Amy, Richard and Cecile, good morning. Shari, good to see you. Rose and Judy, Debbie, it's good to see you, my friend. I am unhiding your comment again to raise it up. Meta has a policy that if you say Israel, the word Israel, in a comment, it becomes hidden until the moderator unhides it. We should change that even if they think it's for our protection. No one puts Israel in a corner, as a great movie adapted once said. Joyce, it's good to see you. Natalia and Adrian, sending love to the Poconos. Arlene and Patricia. Lydia, Jacqueline, good morning. Hi, Tziona. Sending love to Maryland. Okay. Today, Jack, you're sharing is the second yahrzeit for your big brother, Barry Benjamin Zichrono Livracha. You miss him every day. Thank you for sharing your love for him with all of us. We're with you, blessing his memory. Deborah, sending you refuah shlema. Hi, Natalie. Let's take a breath, everybody. Hi, David. Let's sing a bracha. Here we go. Unhiding. Tziona, your father of blessed memory, was named Israel. Yesterday was his Gregorian yahrzeit, holding him with you. Good morning. Susan, you're sharing that today is your beloved father's 17th yahrzeit, blessing his memory. Today's Torah, friends, is in memory of all those we are calling to mind for the sake of healing of anyone in our community and connected to our community, even beyond our community, and dedicated again to the release of our family members, to bringing them home 434 days into war. We are united in heart and hope and devotion. And though we've been counting for far more than a year, and one day would have been too much, we are pledging ourselves to bring them home and making every effort to convince those in positions of power and decision making to hear our prayer, our commitment, and for us to move this needle forward and finally have our family whole once more. It's Parshat VaYishlach, and we've been learning all week long, and we will read this coming Shabbat, just tomorrow morning, from the Torah, the story of Jacob's reuniting, and that might be too generous or too weak a term, with his estranged brother Eisav. We know the backstory. They came from an incredibly complicated dynamic within their family. Rivka loved Jacob more, and Yitzchak loved Eisav more. The text says this explicitly. It won't be the end of favoritism within the families of our ancestors in the book of Breshit, of Genesis. But this is a moment that has the potential to change everything. Everything. And I want to encourage us to think in that way just for a moment. We talked yesterday about whether or not this moment where two older brothers who haven't seen each other in a long time, who have both been through real things, see each other for the first time since Jacob stole the birthright from Eisav. Eisav vowed to kill Jacob. Eisav is coming with 400 men, and Jacob has just wrestled with another figure, be it an angel, an avatar of Eisav, his brother, himself. We don't know everything going into the story, but this moment hits so deeply. And yes, Shalei, as you're saying, this week's Parsha is incredibly relevant to the times in which we are living. It has been comforting to you. It is powerful. It is demanding. It's provocative. There's even tenderness and a little bit of hope, even if it doesn't last. What a gift. So what I want to ask, and I'm amplifying a Dvar Torah given this week by my teacher, my friend, Rabbi David Wolpe. He writes this really obvious question, which is, we know the story, but if you forget that you know the outcome, you might ask yourself, as Rabbi Wolpe does, why doesn't Eisav kill Yaakov? Eisav promised to do this. He vowed to do this. Why didn't he kill his brother? And there are suggestions offered. Rabbi Wolpe brings them in. The first being Rashbam from the 12th century, that actually when Eisav sees Jacob for the first time, he remembers the charlatan that Jacob was as a child, the deceiver. His name, Yaakov, means deceiver. The transformation of his name during this Parsha to Yisrael shows that he has grown, or he has the potential to be this new form of self, this more mature, more self-accountable person. But when he wrestles with the angel just before this encounter, he walks away limping. So according to Rashbam, the Torah commentator, quoted by Rabbi Wolpe, what does it mean, friends, to Eisav when he sees his brother walk towards him limping? He says, oh, this is not the child that I vowed to kill. That person is long gone. He's limping now. Then Rabbi Wolpe quotes another opinion. Beno Jacob, who I'd never heard the name before, so sounds like a wise person from Germany at the beginning of the 20th century. Rabbi Beno Jacob says, he points to the limp. Why didn't Eisav kill Jacob? Because it's not that he was no longer the child that he was. Eisav saw him as an older, limping man walking through the world and had mercy. And then Rabbi Wolpe does something that reveals his own tenderness. He quotes his own father, Rabbi Gerald Wolpe, who pointed out that Eisav and Yaakov were twins. Not identical twins, they weren't the same person. But in the ancient world, there really weren't mirrors. People didn't see their own face. What did Eisav see that stopped him? that stopped him from following through on the vow to kill his long estranged brother? He saw a face very similar to his own. I know this sounds, friends, so detached from our tumultuous world. A 434-day war started by the cruelest act of terrorism against Jews since the Shoah. I don't leave any of that behind as I yearn for a moment where we and those we now call enemies one day will limp forward, because we limp. We do. We have become wiser by the wound, and we won't let our guard down. We can't. As Rabbi Yitz Greenberg says, post-Shoah, after the Holocaust, for a Jew not to accept the wretched necessity of power is an act of blasphemy. We must accept upon ourselves the obligation to wield power, and to do so with ethics, and to do so without celebrating the war. We must ultimately one day come to a place where we see each other's faces and we are shocked. Shocked. I want to share a beautiful, complicated poem by Yehuda Amichai. In fact, two. One of them is called Sonnet. I'm reading a translation. But hold on. Hold on to the possibilities of this. Why didn't Eisav kill Yaakov? Because Yaakov was no longer the deceiver that he was as a child. It's Rashbam. Because Yaakov was an older man limping, and Eisav felt compassion. Or maybe deepest of all, most elusive of all, but deepest of all, he saw elements of himself in someone he had considered an enemy. This is called Sonnet. And you need to know that Yehuda Amichai was born in Berlin. His original name was Leopold Pfeiffer, and his father fought in the German army. So this is pre-World War II. Listen to the poem. My father fought their war 4 years or so, and did not hate or love his enemies. Already he was forming me, I know, daily, out of his tranquilities so few which he had gleaned between bombs and smoke, for his son's name's sake, and put into his ragged knapsack with the leftovers of my mother's hardening cake. He gathered with his eyes the nameless dead, the many dead, for my sake unforsaken, so that I should not die like them in dread, but love them, seeing them as once he saw. He filled his eyes with them. He was mistaken. Like them, I must go out to meet my war. I offer this because there's hope in it. There's humanity in it. When Amichai remembers his father's eyes as his father fought, his father didn't hate or love his enemies. We fight when we must fight. But oh, the ravages of this violence that we must find a way to still navigate. We're not in a simple moment, neither was Jacob. We're not in a simple moment, neither was Eisav. I'm not equalizing them, and I'm not making, God forbid, a statement of moral equivalence in today's wretched battle. But hope and humanity are something that we must see, of course, within us, demand the dignity of being seen as fully human. But we cannot, in our pain, respond with a dehumanization of other images of God. What a challenge for us. What a phenomenal challenge. And what a gift it is to have a parsha that includes such an element of encounter. It's not a permanent reconciliation. After this moment, Eisav says to Yaakov, let's travel together. And Yaakov says, you go on ahead. And they don't travel together. Maybe ephemeral reconnection is as good as it gets, but that is better than today. May we be blessed, friends, to make decisions that lead to, of course, safety and the reuniting of our family, whatever it takes. The defense of our homeland, because it is our homeland, and because any homeland would protect itself. Let us wield war like menches, not hating or loving our enemies, and only fighting when we must, and blessing the next generation, please God, with some prayerful devotion, not naivete. After the Yom Kippur War, an Israeli song that became very popular promised, Ani mavtiach lach yalda shali ktana, I promise you, my little daughter, shezot tihiyeh hamilchama ha'achrona, that this will be the final war. That's a prayer worth praying. And it requires of us not to hate, and maybe not to love, but to recognize we only fight when we must. And the costs should be significant in our own eyes, too. Let's go into the Shabbos, friends, with humanity, with the possibility of hugging and being hugged, of seeing and being seen, and knowing that we're not the only ones who are limping in this world. We've become wise enough to do what we must. We have to be strong enough to do what we must. But we are who we are. Images of God call to see the image of God in all people. It's the big gift of Torah. We don't leave that behind as we fight, but we only fight when we must. Let's go into Shabbos, friends. Let's hold our hearts. And let's send our hearts once again with all of our devotion to our family members who for 434 days have been stolen from us. We want them home. They are human too. Kol hod balevav penima nefesh Yehudi Homiya Ulefatei Mizrach Kadima Ayin Letzion Sophia Od lo avda tikvateinu Hatikva bat shnot alpayim Liot am chofshi Be'artzeinu Eretz Zion V'Yerushalayim Liot am chofshi Be'artzeinu Eretz Zion V'Yerushalayim. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. Shabbat Shalom, my friends. See you on Monday.